Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Friday morning How to Take Over the World session. My name's Mark. I'm going to be your host for this Friday. It has been a half week because of the public holidays, which seem to have played chaos with the month of April, but it is always nice to have a chance to refresh and recharge. And hopefully you guys have had a good week all in all. Nice to see some new names and faces in the delegates list. So if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to drop them into the chat or Q&A facility, and we'll be happy to engage with you on it. Just as some background to these sessions, they were built as part of our kind of response to the remote working environment. Basically, in a normal work environment, you've got the opportunity to share ideas with colleagues at the office, face-to-face, etc. Under lockdown, that wasn't possible, and we used these sessions as a way to share what we were working on, share things that we were learning from each other and things that we'd learned during the week. Each week, we get two presenters to share something that they're working on, and hopefully we learn a little bit more about the people we work with and share that with our clients and other stakeholders. Just a quick reminder of our purpose. We're a consulting firm. We help entrepreneurs tackle the twin challenges: access to finance and access to markets. We've been around for the better part of 3 years now, working on a variety of different projects. Every Friday, we come up with a tune to get you going and try and give you an interesting fact about it. So the song this week is from Flowrider, and it's My House. Interesting fact about this song: it received a boost when it aired as part of a Pizza Hut advert in 2016 at the Super Bowl. What are we working on this week? We've helped the client secure 500,000 Rand in working capital for their business. This is a client in the energy sector. Quite excited about that. We were able to help them get that using it as part of their expansion finance. We've got a new client in the form of BusyMed, which is effectively a technology firm playing in the medical technology space, basically giving you a pharmacy in your pocket. We're doing some content development and other content for them, and part of building an investor deck to help them take to stakeholders in the market. AMS will be working on a new influencer marketing campaign for dynamic body technology. You guys might be familiar with the one they ran in January. This one will be looking at some of the technology that influencers and healthcare professionals use to kind of manage and track their healthcare journey. Spent a lot this week working on the search engine optimization for our sites and digital properties, building content, looking for mistakes in the website, and effectively enhancing this. Obviously, the website serves as a platform for attracting new clients and new inquiries. So we spent quite a lot of time working on that. Ntokozo's got the new Meet the Management kicking off next week. She's interviewing the CEO and founder, Ben Kodisong, from Alt Capital, and basically the purpose of these sessions is to give you the opportunity to go behind the scenes and meet the managers of various investment companies, venture capital firms, JSE listed businesses, etc., and understand what makes them tick. New Adopt an SME cohort kicked off this week. So effectively what we're doing there is we have 10 small businesses, everything from restaurants through to cybersecurity businesses and the like. And each of our team has been assigned one, they've got an accountant, and one person will be assisting them with putting together a marketing strategy. And we'll be working and then recording some of the growth of these entrepreneurs over the next 12 months. Big lesson from the previous week: big projects always take longer than you think to get going. Make sure you plan accordingly. Some of the things we're watching this week: there's been an interesting shift in the ANC and government policy toward collaboration with the private sector. If you've looked at the way that government has always tried to centralize control through things like state-owned enterprises, control over with a lot of red tape, and a lot of policy decisions around things like energy, water, infrastructure, rail, etc. And I think suddenly the government is waking up to the fact that it cannot run all of these things, doesn't have the skills or the financial resources to do it, and so have shifted toward better collaboration with the private sector. One of the interesting things just announced yesterday, I think it was, is that the Western Cape is looking to take over all of its own rail infrastructure and take it away from central government. Inflation is coming through and eating into your salary. I think this is something we've all felt in the last couple of weeks. Cost of petrol, oil prices up, food prices are up, medical aid, all those things are up. Interest rates are rising, and you're finding your salary is gradually being nibbled down. Major stock markets across the world are down sharply this week. I think there's been quite a big shift as interest rates starting to rise across the globe. And I think this is just something, if you do have a lot of debt on your plate, make sure that you give some consideration to the fact that interest rates are heading up and are expected to continue to rise for the better part of this year and into next year. There's a lot of talk about excess executive remuneration at Sibanye-Stillwater and MTN. So the CEO of Sibanye-Stillwater, which is one of the mining companies, received an annual package of 300 million rand. And the CEO of MTN South Africa received a bonus of 84 million rand. And there's a lot of question marks about at what point does it become excess remuneration for these executives. Average take-home salary in South Africa has declined from 15,161 rand to 14,969 rand, but more people are being paid. Hospitality sector is starting to see an increase. And then in terms of the tourism numbers, there were 71,574 European tourists in February compared to 6,403 in 2021, but still below the 169,000 in February 2019. So those are some of the things we're working on. Sam, did I miss anything?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, Mark.
Cool. And Thokozo, did I miss anything else that you're working on?
No, I think you covered everything for now. Yeah.
Cool. I can't see Jess has managed to join. So Paula, I'm going to have to hand over to you. Are you ready to go?
I can go if Jess is not on yet.
Cool, over to you.
Okay. Let's just do this. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity this morning to just share some ideas on ways to engage a live virtual audience. I think one of the things with between lockdown and now, this kind of new shape of the way we work, we've got to a situation where often we are doing virtual live presentations like this one on a variety of different platforms. And what often tends to happen is that our audience is passive. They sit on the other end of the screen and you never really know whether or not they're even still there. And I think that's often been one of our question marks is, are we just talking to ourselves or whether there's actually an audience behind the screen? So firstly, I just want to ask why. Why do we need to engage a virtual audience during a session, whether it's a meeting or whether it's a presentation type situation like this? And the first question to ask is, why is your audience there? Are they there because they want to learn something? Are they there because they have to be there because somebody's told them they've got to earn enough CPD points? So they're not really engaged. They're there because they've been told to, or their boss has said so, etc. Why are they there? And is this actually a meaningful session for them? So in order to create meaning, engaging your audience participation is quite important because learning happens through action. And if you keep somebody participating, if they've got to do something, they're more likely to attend and use the cognitive load that is required for learning by actively participating and engaging. So by creating meaning and making something meaningful for whoever has joined the session, it allows you to tap in to their motivation levels, and that is more likely to get them to actually learn something, whether they want to be there or not. And then we need to think about whether or not it's going to ring a bell for them. Is what you're saying to them going to lead to action? And by getting somebody doing, you're more likely to lead to some form of action, and because they're more likely to take away something meaningful from the session. So one of my first tips is to use the chat tool. Most of your virtual live environments have a chat tool of some description, and in that tool you can usually get the participants, whether they've got access to the microphone or the camera or not, even if they've just got access to a chat function, you are able to engage them through that tool, but we often don't actively use it. We leave it up to the audience as something that's there for them. They can add something if they want to, they don't have to, but you can very specifically use that tool. So pose a question. It's not necessarily a question that has a right or wrong answer. You know, you don't want to put your audience on the spot, but rather something that invokes an opinion. And that way everybody has the opportunity to have a voice. But now when you do this, you do need to be comfortable with some silence for a little bit. So nobody really wants to be the first person to respond. So when you've posed a question, be comfortable to be quiet for a couple of minutes, giving the audience the cue that they actually do have to participate, because the session isn't going to carry on until there is some participation. And then usually somebody will offer their first response, and then others will chime in and contribute. And then as they are starting to populate the chat, you can then summarize for them the key points as they're coming up, pull together some of the key information that's coming from the audience as they're populating the environment. And that allows you to just build the flow of the conversation. And this is really a nice way to lead you to whatever your next point is. So usually the question that you ask is going to have some relevance to what you're going to be presenting next. And that's giving them some pre-thought before going into the concept or whatever your next point is going to be. So it gives you a way of leading the audience to what you're going to talk about next. So some examples of questions that you might ask in a context like this is, what do you enjoy most about sharing your knowledge with others? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being most definitely, how much do you enjoy these Take Over the World sessions? Okay, so feel free to populate the chat if you want to. I'm not going to give you the awkward, uncomfortable silence for now, because we do have a couple of things to do. But then the second tip is that a picture says 1,000 words. So let the audience know ahead of time to have some paper and markers on hand for the session. And then right from the beginning of the session, let them know that they should get drawing. During the session, draw or illustrate or doodle the concepts or the discussions in a way that show that what you have taken away from a session. So on the left-hand side, you can see this is a drawing illustration that I did during a virtual session a few months back, where we were talking about the importance of exercise in your physical health and how we need more exercise. So that was my not very particularly artistic version, but it's a very simple illustration that shows what I took away from the discussion that we had in that session, that I really do need more exercise, and I can see my physical health is deteriorating because I'm not doing enough in that scope. So what do you do with them? So it depends on the virtual platform that you're involved in as to whether they allow file sharing or not. Most of them do at the moment. In Zoom, you can share from your Dropbox or from your computer, and you just pretty much take a photo of what you've scribbled and allow people to then share those drawings in the chat function, or they could even, you can say 3, 2, 1, turn on your cameras, and you hold the picture in front of the camera, so you don't actually have to be showing off that you're still in your pajamas at 7 o'clock in the morning. but you can, or that your hair is not quite done, but you can be holding up whatever the drawing is. And that's sometimes quite nice to have a whole lot of small little screens that each have drawings as a way to summarize at the end of your session. Or you can create a Google form or a Microsoft form that allows file sharing, and that people can upload their pictures to a shared drive. And this allows you to then, as an outcome of your session, have a collage that you can show at the end of the session with all the takeaway messages. And it's quite nice to then send that collage to the participating audience afterwards by way of a thank you or a call to action feed that allows them to say, oh, look, there's my picture. I drew this. Oh, remember how that person said that and this person said that. I like the way this person's illustrated this. So it really builds a longer participation out of the session than just the 10 or 15 minutes. And then my third tip is using some third-party apps. And I'm sure you all, okay, you've got used to the fact that when Paula presents on a Friday morning, she's going to give you something tech. So my app this week is Padlet. And so you can take this, this link, or you can use your, let me just pop it into the chat. So I always pop the hyperlink into the chat forum so that people can easily click on it and access it. And there are a number of third-party apps that you can use. There's polling apps like Poll Everywhere or Polly or Mentimeter. But I like something that allows a little bit more collaborative participation. So I'm just going to escape here because the link is in the chat. And this is what Padlet looks like. Essentially, it's a live collaboration tool, and people can engage once they've clicked into the link. They can add their own content underneath your banners. So feel free to click in and add. When you click on the plus sign underneath, you can see it opens up a little what's it, like a card for you to type content in, and you can create, so the top part is a subject and then the bottom is what you're wanting to say. So why is an audience there? They're there to learn. My background at the moment is white. I think I'm going to make mine blue because I like blue. Okay. It also allows you to share files, take photos, hyperlink to outside environments or web links. And there's a number of tools. If you click on the ellipses, you can see that you can even create a voice recording or video recording. You can share a location. You can do file searches or image searches, YouTube clip searches, etc. So that makes it nice and easy. And then you click publish and there is your contribution. Now you can see underneath it, it's got a little add comment component. And that comment, sorry, I was just reading Mark's comment there. I'm not sure what that actually stands for, but I wasn't reading the whole thread. So yeah, there you can then comment on other people's comments. So please feel free to go into the Padlet and add your own content. Are you able to get into it? And so now this is the part again where you have to allow people the opportunity or the time to actually click on the link. Yeah, so feel free to click on the link and start adding anything you like to that Padlet. Oops. Okay, I see Jess hasn't joined yet, so we've got a little bit of time.
When does it refresh, Paula? It was refreshing at one point.
Maybe it's just because I haven't refreshed. Oh, there we go. I suppose it's help when I refresh, yeah. Well, so excuse the B bars going. In a very easy tool to get people to contribute as things are happening in a live situation. So you get the collective takeaways, and what's quite nice is that you can obviously change the layout, but you can export your Padlet as well, and you can share it and embed it in other environments. In the free version, you have 3 Padlet boards that you can use, and once you finish with a Padlet board, you can bin it and create a new board in its place. But there are paid versions, and it's not that expensive. I think for sort of 10 Padlets or so, and a certain amount of storage, it's about 500 Rand a year. And then there's the max version is about 700 or 800 Rand a year. So it's not a hugely expensive tool to get a bigger portion, but I have managed to get away with using the free version quite comfortably by just binning my Padlets in the interim. So those are my 3 takeaways, or my 3 tips for engaging your audience. And you can see there has been some audience engagement just in this first little session. One of the things to remember is that audience engagement does take time. So if you're doing a short presentation like this, where we're given sort of 10 to 15 minutes, you need to build that in to your participation plan. But by getting somebody participating, you're making them think about what it is that you're presenting. So get your audience participating and engaged in what you are trying to deliver to them. That way it's meaningful for them and it's meaningful for you. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Paula. It was cool. And it's nice to see different tools. I think that's one thing that I appreciate about you, is when you do these sessions, you end up coming up and sharing tools that most of us don't get to see on a regular basis. Anybody else got any input that I can share? And I think it's just a comment from Talentia in the chat facility. I love connecting with, learning from, and experiencing different entrepreneurs and why they do what they do. I agree with you. I think that there's so much to learn from each other. Anybody else got any thoughts or comments?
Thank you, Paula. That was awesome. And that app that you showed at the end is so cool. So I'm like playing around on it, making comments and sharing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think the nice thing is you can even use it as a learning tool. As you know, when you're trying to study, you can use it as a learning tool, and then share your Padlet with friends or somebody else in a study group, and you can work together and give each other feedback. So it's a really cool tool to be able to just give a variety of uses. It doesn't even have to be in a live environment. You can share the link and the Padlet is there, and you can work on it. So I really enjoy Padlet. It's a cool tool.
Awesome. Thanks, Paula. I'm going to have to step in and do something on behalf of Jess. So what I'm going to do is, Jess was going to talk about social media algorithms, which is not my area of expertise. So I'm going to do a very quick presentation on search engine optimization and one of the tools that we've been working with quite a lot this week. So any of you that are interested in search engine optimization, this is effectively the process by which the various search engines are able to find your your website. I mean, obviously, when you are going onto Google, you type in a particular service that you're looking for in a particular region, and Google then goes out into the great big bad world and tries to find the most relevant links for your requirements. And one of the tools, and so if they talk about this being search engine optimization. How do you optimize your website for search engine perspective? And one of the tools that you can have a look at, there's a guy by the name of Neil Patel. For if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, you'll find him. He's very much, he's got a big audience and a big focus on this. So he looks at the various algorithms, particularly Google, and how do you go about building a website that will get you the most relevant traffic. So what they do, you can just go, it's very easy. You go to neilpatel.com and you will get a landing page that looks like this. It'll ask you what your website is, and let's just use our website as an example. And you tell it to analyze the website. And he's got a bunch of tools, and he'll give you a bit of input into it as it goes right now. There's a free version and a paid for version of this. They will go and search for keywords that are of relevance to your particular website. I've already used the free version, all of my versions for today, but they'll do things like rank tracking. They will track your various website positioning. Let me find where you've got, so for instance, I'm just trying to find how we had this link not so long ago. We had, for instance, what you can do in certain places is you can go and put in the keywords that people are using to get to a particular website. They will give you keyword ideas that you can have a look at. So for instance, one of the things I was very surprised to discover is that let's have a look here, Black Industrialist, and we tailor it to search. So it'll tell you how regularly these keywords are searched each month, how much people would be paying for that cost per click, and how difficult it is, what the SEO difficulty is to rank on it. What are some of the other ranked phrases that you can do to drive it? So for instance, you might be interested in the Black Industrialist, but you want content that includes these words as well. So you can see in the middle here, these keywords don't get searched all that often, but you can search all the way through, and gradually it'll tell you the number of times on average that gets searched each month. So you can see Black Industrialist scheme gets searched 210 times. People would typically pay R12.88 for that particular keyword. Let's give another example here. Let's do small business finance. Let's just do small business finance. And so the tool is called Ubersuggest, and it's built into Neil Patel's site. You can see here people search at least 170 times a month for that particular keyword. You can see more and more. So if you've done small pay-per-click advertising, this is what people are paying per click as for the premium placements on it. So there's a lot of competition for that particular keyword. You can start your pay-per-click campaigns from as little as 50 cents, R1, but you'll see where there's the competition over particular keywords. So really, this is just a very simple tool. As I say, it just is something that you can have a look at and play with when you're building out your website. But you can also see where you're tracking against different words, which websites are linking back to you. They do also give you, when you sign up to this, you can put in your website and email address, and they will give you like 7 weeks worth of tips to be able to go and make your website more efficient and more search engine friendly. This is really just fun. I'm still getting my head around it, but quite enjoying being able to work with it. It means that when we write online content, we can write content for specific keywords, which in theory will help us drive up. And remember, if you remember the last time we spoke, spoke about this rank math tool, and this is the search and the Google search. Search Console. And basically what we want to do is marry up the content with the keywords that people are searching for. That's my very, very short introduction to Neil Patel and his online tools. Any questions from the audience or any questions before we wrap up this session? Alrighty,
I think we're all good, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. I think it has been a good week and I think it has been a productive week. Thank you to everybody for joining us. It's always nice to see new names on the call. We'll be sharing the playback facility via our YouTube channel. You can see our previous sessions on there as well. And really keen to see you guys all again, same time, same place next week. Thanks very much, everybody. Chat later.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Paula.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.